All right, guys, we're getting there. Sorry about all the fan noise and stuff. It's just hot. Turn the fan off for a second so you can hear me. But yeah, we're getting there. This is basically the same thing we did over here. I'm actually using the same templates that I used here. Just flipped them over. So on that side, we used this originally right here in this piece here, and it worked out really well. And on this side, you just flip them over, basically. Just flip them over, it's the reverse side. So it's working out really good. So we're able to use these same templates. Just flip them over. Slight adjustments on them. I had to cut just a tiny little bit off here. There's a little bit of a difference of curve here. And this is obviously just a little different, but basically the same. We're gonna put this piece here. I think we're right around 4 inches. We're gonna cut up 4 inches. That'll give us this section here. And then we'll cut this piece. We'll cut this piece. And then we'll make another piece for here. Let's do it. All right, we got the 3 pieces here. Cut them a little big around the edges. We can clean that up with clean it up as we're fitting it in. Probably end up cutting a little off of this, but yeah, that's basically what we need right there. There's some protective coating on the back here. I'm gonna take off real quick. All right, we're trying to get this curvature around this a little bit. Cut some more off the top here. Get a little curve on that. All right, this piece is getting close. This piece is pretty straightforward. There's a weird curve right here. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not trying to go after, you know, an exact match here. It'd be cool if they made a piece for here. I don't know why they don't. It'd be cool if they made this whole B pillar section. I don't think they do. But it's a good place to practice fabricating. So this time, last time I just seam welded the whole thing. I don't think that's necessary. I think you probably spot weld, and it'll hold it fine. So I'm gonna punch some holes in the bottom, and punch some holes in the top, and see what happens. Oh yeah. There we go. Somewhere in there, we gotta find a sweet spot, but we're pretty close there. And if we fold that top over, we should be able to spot weld up there. So let's go ahead and put these on. Probably more than we need. That'll be fine. Let's see if we can, we'll bend this over a little bit in the vise real quick. The opposite way of this one. All right, we want to go the opposite way. Let's see. Let's try that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Get the bottom welded, get a couple spots on the bottom welded in, and then we can tap this over a little more on the top. But that's looking pretty good. We gotta bend this over some more. Looking good. Yeah, I like it. All right, cool. All right, we're getting there. All right, guys, getting ready to put a weld in, and before we do that, there are these screw holes here. There's one on each side, and those hold in the rear seat bracket. This is where the rear seat sits on this lip here. It'll rest on here and go back to here. And just want to make sure that I can still get it in there. Lines up. Perfect. They give you a little wiggle room, but yeah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna leave that in there while we weld, and then I'll take it back out when we're done, because it's probably gonna flex a little bit. All right, we got that in there, secured on both sides, nice and tight. So that's where it should be. And we got weld through primer on the back side of this piece, and I sprayed a bunch everywhere because the can was almost empty, and I was just trying to empty it out, and a lot of that needed to get sprayed anyway. And I'm gonna spray more back there. Once we get all this on, you can reach right back in here with one of those hoses, spray hoses, and you can just spray bomb that whole back area and let it drip down, and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be very, very well protected. So what I want to do now is I want to mark these holes and then clean them up a little bit, because it is hard to weld through that stuff, even though it's called weld through primer. I'm just gonna clean those spots up so it's a little cleaner weld. All right, we got a little gap here, so I'm gonna bring it together with a tech screw, self-tapping screw. Hopefully that'll help. Yeah, that'll help. All right, guys, we're getting there. I went ahead and sprayed some paint on there to protect it from surface rust because it's summertime and it's raining every day and it's super humid. So we get flash rusting pretty quick here in Central Florida. Even if I make it back tomorrow, the surface rust will start almost immediately this time of year. It's just so humid. But we've got it pretty well protected. When we come back, we're going to finish this section here. All right, guys, it's the next day. And we're going to see if we can get this little section made right here and go ahead and fit these pieces that we already have made. So we need to make another little section here, and at some point we're going to make a little section here. Let's try to wrap this up today. I sprayed everything yesterday just in case. I wasn't sure if I'd be back or not, but I'm here, and let's make it happen. Let's do it. Something like that, basically, to fill in this gap here. I'm trying to keep as much of the original as possible. We could just go over top of this and mold around it. That's kind of what I did on the other side here. And that turned out really good. But I was just experimenting on this side a little bit more, trying something different. We could possibly put this section in first and then fill this in after. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm gonna spend some time looking at it and getting this piece figured out. All right, had to turn the fan on. It's hot. I'm gonna try to get this piece in here first, and then we'll work around this. We need to trim it up just a little bit. And we'll have to knock some of this paint back off so that we can get a good clean weld. This is about right where we want to be. I'm going to overlap this, so this is all going to be a lap weld for the most part. We'll butt weld these two pieces here just to give it a cleaner look. That's what we did on the other side. Turned out really nice. But we got to trim these up first. Looking for a sweet spot. That looks pretty good. All right, it's looking pretty good. You can kind of see right there where it's going to fold over that little edge. Let's see if we can knock that over real quick. This one in the twist right here, we probably should have made that relief cut a little bigger. But I think we can get it down and then bend it back. Yeah, we should be able to make that work. We'll just have to pull this back a little bit. See, we gotta trim that edge right there. We'll get this tacked in, and then we'll work on getting this section put in, and then we'll finish it all up. All right, there it is. So far, it worked out pretty good, and we're able to just kind of tweak it back to where it needs to be. I'm gonna mark this, get this cleaned up. Let's do it. All right, it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit to fill in this edge. All right, it's looking pretty good. Let's clean up some of the welds a little bit and then we'll move on to this section. All right, we're getting there, guys. We are getting there. It's starting to look pretty good. Cleaned it up a little bit to kind of see where we're at. I gotta put a couple more welds here. Seam this one up here, here. Just a couple little spots here and there that need to be cleaned up. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that section and this section. We gotta add a little piece here and we will be done with this B-pillar and whatever this section is called. Be cool if they made a replacement piece for this, but I don't think they do. That'd be awesome though if you could just put this whole section in. Would be awesome. All right, guys. They make a pillar. I don't know why they don't make a B pillar. Anyway, let's see if we can put a little piece in here. I'm gonna try to, I'm not sure. Part of me wants to come all the way over here and kind of cover this, but the other part of me just wants to leave this stock and just fill this in. So I think I'm just gonna fill this in right here with a little piece, something like that right there. And then we'll put a little weld here. I mean, this is secure, it's solid, this isn't going anywhere. So we'll fill this in. We're gonna cover all this with seam sealer, all these welds here, all this here, all of this is gonna get seam sealer. Make sure no moisture gets through from the outside. All right, let's make this tiny little piece here and wrap it up. All right, I got this little scrap piece here. Just pulled it out of the pile of scrap metal that I have. Cut a little piece off of it. I'm thinking about just doing something like that. Cut this right here so that it goes up with this. We can overlap this a little bit right here and we'll weld it straight up here. And then we'll weld it right here. And we'll weld it here and over here, and then we'll clean it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to close off that hole. And then we can run seam sealer through all these seams to make sure no moisture gets through. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It'd be cool if you could buy this piece and make it look perfect, but this all gets covered up with carpet. You're not gonna see it, so let's just patch it the best we can. Clean it up and put some paint on it and seam sealer and move on to the next section. All right, let's do it. All right, it's looking good. We're getting ready to weld this in. Put a little paint on the back real quick. Let's do it. All right, there it is. Not too bad. Not too bad. I went ahead and put another layer here just to strengthen that up a little bit. Ooh, I missed a spot right there. I'll get that. Let's clean it up, see what we're missing. We'll go back over it one more time and then fill in any little pinholes we missed. All right, guys, we're getting there. A lot of detail work to do still, but we're getting there. Check it out. This area is pretty much done. A couple little spots we still need to do. I need to put a little patch here, a little patch right here, and then we'll seam seal this. But yeah, this 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. I think it turned out pretty good. I think it actually turned out a little bit better than this side. This side turned out pretty good too. They both have their pros and cons. But I think I learned something on both sides. So, you know, you can experiment in these areas because you're not going to see this area as long as it's structurally sound and everything is sealed properly. Mission accomplished. I think we saved some of the original contours, which is cool. And I think we were able to capture this contour and this seam and that shape pretty good, considering there was basically nothing left of the original. So it's looking good. I'm going to put a little protective paint on here real quick. I'm going to put a quick coat on here so it doesn't flash rust. I might not be back here for a couple days, so just want to keep it from rusting. And there's a lot of different shapes and crevices and stuff in here. If we have to sand a little off to fill in a pinhole or two, we can, or we'll just cover it with seam sealer. All right, that's looking better. Got it covered up, keep it from flash rusting. It's looking good. So you can see in the last video we applied some of that OSPO to some of the bare metal that I forgot to cover, and it got rusty, so I put the OSPO on it. Anywhere you see this grayish, blackish, kind of whitish film, that's where the OSPO has killed the rust. You can kind of see it on this A-pillar too. Yeah, that was all bare metal. So it really gets down in there and knocks it out. It's pretty cool. And I guess before you go to paint it, just hit it with a Scotch-Brite pad or sand it off a little bit. I've seen somewhere where people say you're supposed to rinse it off with water, but I've also seen where you guys have said just hit it with a little sandpaper and knock it off. So should be fine. Probably not something you want to do on the outside of the car, you know, before you put base coat on it and all that, but in here it should be fine. We still got to clean this area up, but that won't take long. Just a little patch here and maybe a couple more, some more welds in there. Weld that up, clean it up, put some seam sealer on it, spray it, boom. So probably what I'm going to do is I'll probably clean this whole front area up next time, get all this looking like this side, and hit it all with this stuff or the weld through primer, one of those primers. Just get it protected. You can see this here is bare metal. I did the OSPO on this months ago. You can see there's a little bit of surface rust, but not much. It really protects it. I mean, that's been in here for months, but that OSPO coating keeps it from keeps it from rusting, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to put the seam sealer on it today. I'm just going to let this dry because this paint takes a little while longer to dry for some reason than that weld through primer does. But seems to be working okay for what we're using it for, just to protect it from flash rusting or surface rusting from the humidity. But there's a lot of little detail stuff to do still, but it's starting to come together. That was probably the last major fabrication to do on the car, other than the bottom of the doors. That's going to be a whole nother project. But this is a pretty complicated little setup. Luckily, I'd already had done this side, and I already had the templates cut out, so that helped a lot. First time I did it, probably took me a week. This time it took me 2 days. Probably could have done it in one, but you know, it was 2 days of 4 or 5 hours a piece. So, but yeah, we got a hole in here to cut, some other stuff to patch. We're getting there. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. I appreciate it. See ya.